Hello there, YouTube Sangha, welcome to Peace of Mind, Season 2. We got a surprise for you. Dharma Sky is the new co-host on the program, right? Man, Dharma Sky, last time we had a video with you, it was phenomenal. You brought so much positive energy and you just belong here. So I want you to feel like you belong here and that anything goes now with Dharma Sky.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, man. And today's topic is going to be about the present moment. We talked about it. You said Dharma Sky, like that was a perfect topic. So why did you think so?
I think it's important. The present moment, huh? It sounds easy, but it's not. It can be with practice, just like everything. But I think the reason people don't think about the present moment is because the society that we have kind of like lives in the future and the past.
Mm,
And the one way that we could go about the present moment is acceptance. We got to accept the present. You know, this culture is always thinking about the next thing, about the past. It's conquered by the ego and the monkey mind. Like the ego and the monkey mind are best friends. They don't want to be in the present. They don't like the present. They like the chaos. They like the anxiety. They like the suffering. But as you and I know, right now in the present, that's where peace lives. And you gotta find a way to get there.
right. I appreciate that. And I can only agree. So about the ego and the monkey mind, I'm glad you brought those up because to be perfectly honest, I was like thinking about this topic and I was like, the moment that we said, let's talk about the present moment, I was like, there's just too much going on. And I guess that was the monkey mind right there, where I was like going on in my mind where I was like, I'm not sure where to even begin because um, this is such a big topic. But the ego, like, how is it that the ego messes with the past and the future? Is that so? I'm
So,
pers. Oh, sorry. I did want to mention like how it messes with me because currently, like, I just moved back to Japan and I am, I'm actually job hunting still. I've been here for a couple months. I had to turn a couple jobs down because I just knew that they were not going to be nurturing to me. It just wasn't the right fit. So currently, I'm looking around for new jobs, and the ego kind of messes around because it's like, well, you're on LinkedIn and you see friends who have similar credentials to you or you knew from your past, and then you see that they are um, moving along, or it just looks as though that they're getting ahead. You feel like, so that's how I relate the ego in that way, where I'm like, oh man, I gotta watch that because, I feel like I should be where they're headed, or I think about the past where it's like, man, I know this person, like I know their strengths and other weaknesses, and I don't see much a difference, so I should be able to do the things that they're doing, and that's so you get into that comparative trap, and I feel like that's like the ego messing with the past and the future. Um,
yeah,
would you agree with
we
that?
always do. I do. I do.
Yeah,
When we're on social media and watching TV, we always comparing ourselves to other people. Oh, I want this, I want that, or I should be doing that. Or sometimes we don't accept our past and we live in the past thinking, oh, I should have done things different. But the thing is, the future and the past, they don't exist, bro. They don't exist.
yeah.
It's like the past, you can't do nothing about it. It's gone. It's gone. There's nothing you can do about it. And the future is not written yet. Like it's okay to have goals and stuff, but you're not gonna sit and think about it and it's gonna happen. You gotta focus on everything you want to do right now. Because again, the ego is telling you that you're not enough. The present is not good. But you got to find a way to kind of eliminate that. And the monkey mind is helping him. The monkey mind is going to tell you, we got to do this, we got to do that. And we got to find a way to knock that noise and tone it down. Like you mentioned about your personal life, about jobs and stuff. And I go through that a lot in my job. Like sometimes I have people like either, talking down on me, disrespecting me. And the ego will be like, oh, say something or how are they gonna view you, or you should be doing this and doing that. And usually, what I do personally is I bring myself back to the present moment. I kind of like I sit there and I take a deep breath in and a breath out. Like every time I realize that I'm thinking about something, I bring that awareness back to breath. And in my mind, I was like, no monkey. And I breathe in, I breathe out, and I do it kindly. Like you can't force thoughts out. All you can do is kindly be aware that you're thinking and just bring yourself back to breath. And I know that definitely helps me when I'm going through stuff at my job. So.
Yeah, and no, that's wonderful. You brought up again, like the breath, going to the breath. Um, like we fancy ourselves sometimes in the Buddhist circles, like we meditate, we focus on mindfulness, and we think we are past certain things. We're getting stuck in the same habits of monkey mind, or just the same habits of rumination, or on these like powerful thought processes or mental formations. Like last night, I was thinking like I have a rule that like Ajahn Sona, I believe it was Ajahn Sona, said like you shouldn't um, think deeply past the hour of 10 p.m. If you're headed to bed and you think something, think about something um, after that period, you're not gonna have good rest, you know. Or it's not really like he's not saying like you're never gonna rest well if you do that. It's just like a rule. So sometimes it happens, you know. But like last night, I caught myself doing it, and I was like, oh man, I thought I made it like a promise to myself that I wouldn't do that, and I was like, but I had to remember the breath. I had to like as you exactly as you're saying, Sky, is like we gotta. So I was like, oh man, I caught myself. And then, you know, that's like the Noble Eightfold Path, where the first is right intentions, right? And then, um, you know, right thinking is the next. Those two in Buddhist terms is that when we catch ourselves doing the thing, we already have right intention. You know, like so we made a mistake, we noticed it, so we don't have to dwell in, oh man, now I feel bad that I did that thing. It's like, no,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's like ego again. You know,
yeah,
like you just you don't get lost in thought.
yeah,
Yeah.
like you,
Mm.
yeah, the ego likes guilt. I feel like I've heard that before in a Dharma talk where the ego likes guilt, likes to play the guilt game with our, you know, internally, not about other people, but about other people too. But like we use certain tactics, the ego uses certain tactics to try to feel better about the situation, right? Would you agree with that? Um,
I definitely do. So,
yeah.
what tactics can we use to be in the present moment? Like, what can we do in our everyday life that can keep
Mm,
us in the present moment? Like, what's one of the things that you do usually to be mindful every day?
that's a good question. Well, yeah, I tend to be like, there are certain I feel like in Buddhist circles there are different tactics that people use. Um, like for one, like for example, is the meditation object, right? Like where you have an object of meditation. Sometimes it's considered the goal. Like a goal would be that object. So sometimes when we're like aimless or we're lost in thought or we're being too self-critical, I just first of all I dispel that by breathing. I'm like, okay, the first thing is um, what's in the way right now is the emotion. And the emotion in itself, you might say it's like a Plum Village technique from like Thich Nhat Hanh, where you recognize the emotion itself. And you say the okay, the emotion I'm having right now is doubt, or the emotion I'm having right now is sadness. And then I'm like, oh, you know, I say, hello, doubt, hello, sadness. You know, I know you're there. Nevertheless, you're a part of me. You know, like that. And I'm like, but
But it's not you.
sorry,
Just a clean moment. It's not you though. That sadness, that joy, it's not you. So you don't identify with it.
right?
Like you kind of accept it. You look at it. Like, okay, I release you. Like I see you. I recognize you. But you're not me. And you just take it as it is. You feel it in the moment. And you kind of let it go. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't identify with every thought. So you know, you kind of take it in for what it is, and you let it go. I know it's easier said than done, but once you identify that it's not you, that's just a feeling at the moment, that's just the ego telling you something, and you recognize it's not yourself, it gets a little easier every time.
Absolutely, yeah. And I like the saying that the past is a lighthouse. It is not the destination. Hear that, Sky? And
No, first time hearing it.
okay, so
First time hearing that.
um, a lot of the times we dwell on the past and think that that's what's going on and that's where we're headed. It's like, oh no, I remember that time when I failed a test, or when or let's just say like, stay on the same topic of job interviews, right? I remember when I had a job interview and it didn't really go as well as I hoped. And then, you know, you think that the next job interview is going to go like that one. And it's like, don't look at it that way. It is a lighthouse, it's not the destination. And there are probably reasons why it didn't go well the way that you wanted. And the reason I find there's a lot of wisdom in that analogy, in that metaphor, is because the lighthouse is telling the ship not to go that direction because you know that there's a lot of stuff going on over there under the waters. You know, you're drifting too close to shore. Um, you know, the pier is up ahead, it's not right there, right? So it's if you're focused on the lighthouse, you're doing the wrong thing, you're not navigating correctly, right? So you learn from the past and you bypass all the trials and tribulations, all the stuff that's there in the waters. You know, you know to bypass it, and that's prajna, that's wisdom in Buddhism, right? Like you stay the course. Like we know where we're headed, we don't know what's going to happen, but you navigate on that ship anyway. You maintain course on that ship, and that's why feel like that's like one of the best wisdoms we have in dharmas we have in Buddhism, and I feel like it's just a common phrase nowadays that like has been accepted even in like Christian circles and so forth. So, um, what do you think, Sky? Would you
Absolutely.
put that one in your pocket?
Oh, definitely. Absolutely. I mean, to rephrase that, I would say, yeah. I mean, there's definitely wisdom in silence. There's wisdom in silence, in that stillness. We don't gotta chase every light that beams at us. you know, every wave. You just gotta be mindful where you are and where you're headed.
Mm,
It is definitely hard in this society, but we gotta find a way. Whether it's by doing different activities, because I know not a lot of people want to sit down and meditate. Uh, whether it's like yoga or playing a sport or doing art, whatever that keeps you in that moment, in that stillness, could definitely bring you joy.
yeah,
And stop you from overthinking and that anxiety and all those things.
absolutely. I have to share a little bit like about my recent past, which was, um, well, I was kind of stuck. You know, we talked a lot about that, and that's kind of like where, if anybody was following Peace of Mind and wondered what was going on with the program, well, the truth of the matter is that I was on my way to Japan, and you know, we talked about that last episode. But I I was in limbo. Like I had to stay in Airbnb, and I wasn't sure if my visa work was going through in Japan, and that was a hard transition for me. You know, it really was. Like it had. I'm being very honest with the audience here that I had a hard time with that, and because there was a lot of craving, there was a lot of attachment, there was a lot of um, like not letting go of certain things. You know, like where
Accepting the, yeah.
yeah, there's no acceptance. So I did learn from that experience. It was a real learning experience. Like it was and that's the thing about Buddhism and mindfulness and all of this and peace of mind. What it's all about is improving our lives in a practical way. So like I worried about a lot of things about the past and the future, and wasn't what the way that I survived, the way that I got through it all was radical acceptance of the present. You know, I was like, okay, I'm here now. So like I was at an Airbnb in New York, and no specifics, but but it was to be perfectly honest with you, I chose that place. I chose to be there before I even, during the early stages of my application process to be with my wife and everything. I chose to be in New York in beautiful scenic areas, and but at the time I was like just worried about the future. I was like, what if this doesn't happen? What if that doesn't happen? What'll I do? But the thing is that if I just stayed in the present moment the whole time and I just um, took measure of my surroundings and the fact that I was okay and my wife was still there for me, even though not in person, um, her presence was felt nonetheless, and um, so it's just a lot of dwelling, a lot of rumination, and a lot of worrying, right? And you know, but the practice is how I was able to gain my composure anyway. So it just, and having sangha, because I was in contact with you, I was in contact with sense, and everyone else, so people in our sangha, we stayed in contact, and that was something that Thich Nhat Hanh had said. The Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh talked about. He said, "What do you do in a moment where the present moment is unbearable?" And one of the advice that he gave was rely on the sangha. Like talk to members of the sangha, if available. And
Right.
if we can do that, sometimes the sangha is not somebody that goes to temple with you, or not somebody that does meditation retreats with you. Sometimes the sangha is like me, my wife, and what's weird about that is sometimes it's odd. It's odd. I have to admit that sometimes I don't think of my wife as sangha, just my wife. But isn't that strange? Because we all have significant others, and like I'll say you do, and Sense is married as well, and like how often do we talk about them as sangha, even though they don't have to believe or subscribe to anything that we do, but as Buddhists we can see them in that light. What
I
would you
mean,
say, Sky?
that's beauty of it. Like, sangha can be anyone, anything. It could be whatever that keeps you focused on your purpose, on that peace, on that inner guidance. Like you said, it could be our significant others. To me, it could be, besides that, it could be my animals. It could be nature. It could be something as simple as a beautiful tree in the park. Anything that brings me back to that moment and is helping me in my spiritual journey. So yeah, so like it doesn't have to be somebody that you meditate with. It's like, again, not nobody definitely, again, nobody wants to meditate all the time. I don't know why, because I love it. But everybody's different. Everybody's different. But yeah, anything that brings you back to the present moment, to that joy, to that fulfillment, is your sangha.
Yes, absolutely. It's like everyone, like when I was in that trial there, when I was in my own tribulations about and ruminations, everyone was pointing me to the present moment, right? Um, even even somebody that I know and I actually love dearly, and for whatever reason we made a decision to not be in regular contact. But even that person helped me, and they probably don't even know it. They don't know. Um, One of the things about that I was thinking about with Sangha and the function of the Dharma and everything is that a lot of times we're going through these things because it is what we need to go through for our growth, for our maturation, in the path. And sometimes it's something that we don't like, right? Do you have
I
any
understand.
such experiences like that?
Oh, I got thousands. um, I would say most of my everyday life is dealing with difficult people. Obviously, the first thing that I understand is that they got the reasons for being how they are. So instead of seeing it as something that's stressful, I see it as an opportunity for growth. It helps with my compassion. Like, okay, I understand why they are in that situation, why they feel that way, why they think that way, and it keeps me in the present moment. Like, when they're talking to me, I do a body scan. I start feeling in the beginning of my crown all the way to my feet, every sensation, every thought, and I realize, so this is how I'm feeling. But just because I'm feeling this way doesn't mean it has to be that way. And I kind of change my perspective and turn it into a learning experience.
Mm.
And I just kind of focus on my breath. Accept it, because even though it's difficult, it's not forever. So just accept the moment and just take it as a learning experience, which is all you could do if you're trying to be a peaceful person. Like, don't let any thought, like, never let the ego win, never let the monkey win. Always stay present.
I love that. Thank you so much. And that and in Buddhism we have a term for it. The body scan is a legitimate Buddhist practice that's been around probably before the Buddha, but it's called vipassana, right? And that very much is a practical tool that we all can use. I'm so glad you brought that up. I also had a thought, just this moment. Here we go. Perfect. This is Sangha.
Ah, okay.
Messages
Can be,
from
yeah.
the Buddha, right? Uh,
Oh, yeah.
this is Sangha. Practical. Um, why is this Sangha? Because um, like this was published by Bukkyo Dendo Kyokai, which is a publisher here in Japan, right? Um,
Mhm.
they wrote the people who write this and publish this. It's a group of people. It is a sangha, right? And each word is in here. They're references to the Buddha, and so in the very sense of the meaning of the triple gem, which is the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha, you know, that's things like this. This is sangha. So when we're stuck, when we can't bear the present moment, we can rely on things like this. And yeah, how miraculous and how beautiful is this? You just like, you know, um, Sky, like, do you ever just like look into liner notes of books and just like, okay, so this is who published this, and that's where that came from, and like, I don't know, maybe I'm just
Yes.
a. I'm sorry.
No, no. When you practice mindfulness and being present, you find the beauty in everything. Like a simple book, a simple breeze, like anything becomes your sangha. So and you get lost in it. And it sounds kind of weird and maybe a little bit corny, but it's true. Like sometimes I don't know if you've ever been like to the beach or a forest or something, and you just sitting there and you smiling and you just kind of just
Yeah.
enjoying the moment. And I had situations where people look at me weird and they ask me, "What are you thinking about?" And I'm like, "Nothing." And they're shocked. It's like, how are you not thinking about nothing? That's impossible. But it's very possible when you practice mindfulness. Like you
Yeah.
don't need to be about you need to be thinking about something all the time. You can just be appreciating the waves in the ocean or the beautiful music or the sound of the AC in the morning when you wake up. the words in the book, like you said. So yeah, I always appreciate everything, and I think once people start accepting the present moment, which can be tough for some people, they're gonna find more joy and more peace in their lives.
Absolutely. And that's what it's all about, man. Like we you know, what you're saying now about like how other people sort of view this, or they view like we have a relationship with others. Obviously, as humans, we that's an inescapable quality of what is human, right? We have a relationship with others, and when we don't, one of two things happens. We either become an ascetic who's like a hermit, or we go mad, right? It's one or the other. You either go feral like an animal, or you become so composed and so mindful that you become a sage, right? Those are the two directions in Buddhism. Well, there's also the middle path, which is that continuous relationship with others, right? And that's actually what made the Buddha, right? Is the fact that he was able to develop the sangha and continue his communion with other people, and that's really important. Present moment. One thing that just came to mind for me is that we do not dictate the present moment. That's one thing that you know what I mean. Like that is one thing that sort of rubs against peace, right? Why do we desire peace? Well, it is basically that is the ecosystem for us. It is the best way. It's the best um, let's say nutriment toward our prosperity, right? That's why peace and prosperity go together as a phrase, right? It is a nutriment for us, but we do not dictate that. So we cannot be like a figurehead and say, I demand the peace prize when we're not, when we think that we can dictate the situation that leads towards peace, right? So, and we don't need to get into a bigger narrative there, but there is the milieu that we live in, that we cannot escape, but we can determine our own peace of mind, and that is the purpose of this channel, is purpose of this organization, right? Is to facilitate that for others, um, and for some reason we think that we
Yeah,
can
I
help.
think people gotta take. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what we do. That's what we're doing here. Trying to promote peace. Of course, we're not responsible for nobody's peace and happiness. Again, it all goes back to acceptance. We gotta accept the fact that the present moment is where peace is at, and yeah, like you said, we can't determine it.
Right? Yeah, like meaning sometimes we get attached to our expectations. We expect certain things to happen. Like a good example is when my wife and I are hiking the mountain. By the way, I have I have a bum knee, and I have a shin that has a hematoma that refuses to go away. But find out that going up that mountain actually helped my knee and my shin somehow. I don't know. It's almost like miraculous. I don't make
Awesome though.
bold statements, but in this case, it was just like when I got home, I was like, my wife was like, I'm sore, and I was like, I'm not somehow. Like somehow the swelling went down in my leg, and but yeah, maybe it needs more circulation. I don't know, but uh, anyway, my point is that we went to Mount Tsukuba in Japan, uh, and on our way up, I was trying to be in the present moment. So I was like walking and just enjoying the beautiful flora. Uh, in Japanese, it's koyo, right? Like autumn leaves, and just like the change of the season and everything. So we're walking, and I'm just absorbed in everything there. And then I look back at my wife, and she's, you know, I love her dearly, and what I said kind of made me feel again like this. This is why I brought it up, is because we cannot dictate our present moment. So I'm like, she's doing something with her bag, and I was like, what's going on? You're too busy. Like, look around, and don't be so busy with that. Like, look at their surroundings. It's like, and and then immediately I felt bad because I was like, oh no no no. So I had to apologize to her. I'm like, I'm sorry. That was not right. That was not mindful. I desired, and it was desire. It was desire. I thought it was chanda, which is right desire. It was not. So so I like looked up and I was like looked at her, and I was like, don't worry about that. Like, look at this stuff. And it's like she's not worried about that. She's engaged in doing something. And so I apologized, and that was like the best thing I feel like for our trip, was that from there, she's like, it's okay. And as we continued about our day, we did stay in the present moment. Every time that I felt that I was worried about something, or I thought about something in the past, I was like, no, I'm going to keep focused on what we're doing here and now, or else I'm going to miss this moment. I'm going to miss out on this trip that we're having. in real time. You know, I feel like
Really.
so often people do that, right? Like that is, um, do you have that opinion too? Like that, like we miss out on things when we don't think about the present moment. Um,
Oh, absolutely. I have a lot of situations like that where I'm with my significant other and I'm trying to enjoy the moment, and maybe she's a little distracted with something else. Comes back to accepting people as they are. I mean, no one's going to see things through our eyes. They see things differently. It's just accept them. But once in a while, we both have that beautiful moment, and we both in the present moment, and yeah, and it's all great. I mean, the present moment is all about acceptance, and that's something that we got to do for ourselves. We can't force it on ourselves, and we can't force it on people. It's kind of comes with the practice. Yeah.
yeah. Um, do you ever have like what I want to say is how to nurture the present moment for others? Like that could be a hard assignment, right? It's almost like uh,
Can
you know
be.
as a school teacher you have to kind of, well, it's not about have to, but it is part of teaching. Is like you the class the moments of class and throughout the day, everything's segmented and there are times for everything, and you don't want to overlap those time signatures. But it happens. It happens. And there's just nothing you can do about it. As much as the board of education or some other supervisor would love you to be perfectly in sync with those time signatures, it's just not going to happen. But in your line of work, you probably have regimented schedules like that, right? Is that the case for you?
Well, they usually already have a set schedule that we follow, and we go by that. And but I try to implement positive outlooks in different ways that we can be mindful. I think when we're dealing with different people, we gotta kind of put ourselves in their shoes and kind of present it in a way that more accommodating for them.
Hmm.
You know, maybe they don't want to sit there in stillness because they think it's boring, especially with kids nowadays. So
Hmm.
maybe we try to do like a puzzle or doing some art, and or when they're trying to think about the past or the future, kind of redirect them into something more positive than we could do at the moment. And of course, it's always easier said than done. But as Buddhists, engaged Buddhists, I think it's important to find a way to be role models for the community. Like I always say, you can't force anything. All you could do is hope for the better, try your best, and yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it reminds me of something my wife and I talked about, where there was a job that I was looking at, and it was a long commute, and you have to like ride a train for an hour or so. And you know, I was, like in the past, I would get hung up on that and be like, man, that's a waste of time. You know, hour commute there, hour commute back. But now I'm like, wow, that's an opportunity to read books. It's an opportunity to study Japanese.
Perspective, yeah.
It's like looking for an opportunity for those things. And you can even practice mindfulness meditation on a train. Um, we think of these things as, oh, I need to be grounded in the dirt at the roots of a tree. I can't be in motion. I need to be mindful. It's still. And it's like, no, man, mindfulness happens on the go. Right?
It happens. It's like
Yeah.
whatever makes you present. I mean, like I sometimes I'm aware while I'm driving on the passenger when I'm in the passenger side. Like I'm focused on the moment. Like today, I wasn't driving. My girlfriend was driving, and we took the same route that we always take. But usually, I'm the one driving. Today, I didn't drove, and I noticed all the trees that I never noticed before, and it's the same route. But I noticed like every color, like every branch, and everything becomes an opportunity to practice mindfulness. So that's the beauty of it. Like you said, you don't gotta be just meditating. You could do a bunch of different things, and it keeps you present. As long as it's something keeps you present.
Yeah, and it's really like gratitude, right? Like it sounds like what you're expressing is gratitude to me. That was um, sorry, I have like a million anecdotes, but like it reminds me of the I have another sangha that I sangha as there sangha's in the name of the group, so my sangha is everywhere, but the group is a sangha in the terms of it is a practiced Buddhist path by Thich Nhat Hanh, but the instruction was to talk about how we can essentially stay present when there's like chaos going around or whatever, or be yeah. So I said that it falls in line with anchoring, like anchoring in psychological terms, like and so there's that to anchoring or grounding techniques, whatever you want to call it. Um, But I said, for me, my answer was starting with gratitude. Um, oh, and it was consumption that actually. So sorry, I misremembered that when I want to talk about. My
Well,
apologies, but
it could be gratitude. You know, you could be in a
yeah,
situation with people. You could be grateful that you're not going through that situation. You know, and that
yeah,
you have the capacity to see things differently.
hmm yeah. Like
You know?
gratitude, like so. The sorry, the question was about how do we stay mindful about our consumption, and I said because we're always
Mm,
consuming, even if you're a passenger on the road, you are consuming. Because in Buddhism we have consciousnesses, right? And we have the eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, etc. And the consciousnesses are the things that consume. So, um, and so in the mind and body consume too. So body being what you were eating, and tongue as well. So we, the eyes are also consuming what you see, right? And putting that in your mind. Anyway, so that's like the process. And consumption in this case, how do we stay mindful of it? I said lead it with gratitude because when you're grateful, you put everything into focus. It puts your consumption into focus. So if you're not grateful, then you don't focus on anything. You're kind of just that's monkey mind stuff, where you're just like, I want this, I want that, I want a little bit of this and that. And
you're not accepting everything as is. You want more. Oh, about this, what about that? Just be grateful where you're going. You know, why not? Right now, we're doing this video.
yeah,
I'm grateful to have this opportunity to talk about this and to be with my fellow
likewise.
Sangha. I'm not talking about nothing else. Nothing else exists but this beautiful message that we're given. I mean, and that's how I live my life. Like I'm grateful, but I don't know what the future holds. Of course, I'm for it, and I always work every day for it. But I'm not here like daydreaming all the time about what I want to do and stuff. I just have like my dreams and goals, and I work for them every day. And the past is gone. There's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, the lingering on the past, especially when it comes to suffering. The Buddha said it's like being shot with an arrow and constantly telling a story about how you got shot with that arrow. He called it the
Mm.
poison arrow. Sometimes it's called two arrows. I don't know if you heard about this, but it basically was a story about how someone went to the Buddha and complained about how he was shot with an arrow, and he said you're just dwelling on what has happened in the past, but you're not nurturing the wound. That's what will help you. But like thinking about, oh, this thing hit me. What if I die? What if I get an infection? What if I get a fever? Which you go septic, and that could kill me. And the Buddha's like, what you should be focused on is nurturing your wound, like
Right now, yeah.
yeah, right here and now, paying attention to it, and that will actually produce the healing result that you want. Is by focusing on that, and not in a way of like this thing's going to cause me great harm, I'm going to die, um, and it's a parable of two arrows. Like, good example is like when somebody gets angry at you about something, or when you get angry about that. I like it when it's about anger, because anger is constantly living in the past. I don't know if people realize this, but when you get angry, it's
How
because
how did that happen? Why did that happen?
uh,
Oh, I should have done this. I said that. Oh, blah blah blah.
yeah, it's like anger. Like let's personify anger for a moment. Anger. You're always talking about something that's over with. Like why you got it? You're just hanging around, man. Like rent. You didn't pay rent. You're squatting in this house. You need to leave. Anger is always. Sorry. Uh,
Yeah, it's hard. Like especially during an argument. Well, I try not to argue, but there's situations once in a blue moon that the ego may win. You may want to prove a point or try to force abuse on somebody. And yeah, it's up like you said, because you living in the past. Like just let it go. Like, usually, what I do, I try to like notice how I'm feeling, and I kind of realize that it's fleeting, and I don't want to see nothing that I will regret later.
mm,
So I kind of accept that accept that I'm upset, and kind of like
yeah,
maybe a little later when I'm more focused talk about it, because I know but people can do that, they can't let go, they can accept stuff as what it is, as a fleeting moment. They identify with their feelings, and we can't identify with our feelings or our thoughts.
that's right. And right. And the Buddha did say like in Buddhism, there's no one wisdom that I came across was that there is no delusion that we're not going to have hard conversations, that we're not going to get into arguments. Yeah, sometimes we just have to. There's just an unstoppable force in an immovable object, right? Contact is what it's called in Buddhism. There's actually a principle about it. It's called contact. It means that certain things are inevitable. Did the Buddha just straight up get into shouting matches with people? Absolutely not. Not even the Sangha members. Very rarely did they do that. Um, but the thing is that there's a difference between a tiff or spat and full blown argument, like shouting match. That's a very different situation. And as long as it doesn't escalate to that point, I don't think anything's wrong is actually happening. It's an uncomfortable feeling that both people, or maybe anyone who's present, might feel uncomfortable at that moment. But that sometimes we need to get across a barrier, right? We need to get across some kind of misunderstanding, and it takes wisdom. I don't know anybody. I never heard of anyone who was able to just fully, completely navigate disagreement every single time, and it was perfect. Like the outcome came in their favor, and the other people were happy. I'm not sure that's ever happened. And the Buddha said that
No, no,
the Buddha says in Dhammapada,
it never.
no one is ever fully praised, and no one is ever fully blamed. So, and I feel like remembering both of those. So, if you win your spat, if you win, first of all, there's no winning and losing, right? Like in a relationship, the only success, prosperity of both parties, of both people, of everyone that's involved, that's the win there. So if you feel like you made your point, got your point across, and that means you won, that's not really that's ego, right? Like that's
But what's the point of getting your point across and making another person feel bad or
uncomfortable. Yeah,
hurt just because you want to get your point across? Like you said, that you just want equal balance. You want harmony in your relationships. And if that means you gotta let a person have it, just let the person have it. I mean, I want.
yeah,
I don't understand that. That's ego. Just trying to win an argument and stuff like that. I don't see that. Just accept people as they are. Like I don't argue with them. I don't argue with them. Like
yep.
if I gotta lose an argument, I will.
Yeah, and in the end, that's how we win, right? We win in the sense of for peace, for the sake of peace, if that's what we want in our lives, which is how we're able to smile, how we're able to enjoy the present moment every time is we just take the ego out of the equation. We take all the unwholesome emotions and desires, and we put them in their
Yeah.
place. Basically, we say we are that charioteer, a master of where the cart
Yeah.
goes, master of where the horses go. We're in partnership with the horses. And the horses, that's
Yeah.
that's another way of looking at it, is that we nurture those horses too, and we look after the reins. We make sure, like I have experience with horse riding and being on a ranch and stuff. So making sure that the bridle is put together correctly, the saddle's on right, or the chariot's fixed properly, the horses are well fed, that they are bathed. Even like you bathe horses, you make sure that they are um, like there's nothing in their hooves, in their teeth. That analogy is also about comes from the Dhammapada, where he says like those who are stuck in anger or in irritation, like they're like a charioteer who only hold the reins. Like the chariot's going in every direction or where the horses are going. It's like that stuff is in disarray, and you're just holding on to the reins. And it's like, um, but if you're a master charioteer, you guide where the horses go. You take care of them. You know the ins and outs of everything. And that's mindfulness. That's
Let nobody take over.
yeah,
And it's hard because we live in a society that we want approval, and everybody wants to take that piece away, and they want to take the reins over and take you in this direction or that direction with also all types of distractions and stuff. So you just gotta stay grounded and hold that tight and make sure that you doing what you gotta do.
oh, that's perfect. Yeah,
You're all the monkeys.
no, that's a great reminder there too, because um, like yeah, guiding horses takes a subtle touch, or just the right pull, the right direction. Because if you're pulling too hard or you're doing something out of whack, then like horses can spook, or something weird can happen, and like where, and then you lose control because you're over controlling. You're just guiding. You're just there to guide and nurturing. You know, nurturing and guiding, not controlling, not forcing, not insisting, not persisting, like persistently insisting. um,
Yeah, and then just make sure you take a clear road. That I think the road could be your consumption. Make sure the road's not bumpy or with a bunch of holes. Otherwise, the horses may trip or something. So make sure you're going on the right path and you're not distracted by this road or that road. So yeah,
yeah,
it's a beautiful way to see it.
that's prajna, man. That's wisdom in Buddhism, panya. Like seeing ahead,
Appreciate it.
man. That's no, I love it. I love that we could riff that and just use that as a great explainer there. Uh, and yeah, maybe it seems like we're coming up on our time to wrap it up. Um, do you have
Okay.
anything else you'd like to add? Anything that you want to sort of tease the audience with about maybe we can talk about next time? Or
Um, as far as topics, no. But at the moment, but the only thing I could close up with is that I want people to realize that there's wisdom in silence and in stillness. Do not be afraid of it. It's okay to face yourself. It's okay to be bored and take it all in for a moment. We don't gotta be thinking about the past or the future, and it's gonna be uncomfortable. But with time and proper practice, I can guarantee each one of you can find joy and peace in your life.
man, that's sada for that one. Thank you. Peace and stillness.
Absolutely.
I, it's
The future is in the now.
sometimes. Oh, sorry, you cut out a little bit. Can you say that again?
I said it's the only place you can find it. I mean, there's no peace in the future and there's no peace in the past. It's on the now. So yeah.
Mhm. But it's like I like that you emphasize stillness. Like you know, everyone feels like we need to go in a certain direction, the hustle and bustle. Um, but stillness is where it's at, but not forcing it.
No.
We're just guiding things, nurturing and guiding, not forcing, not commanding. Um, well, Dharma Sky, as always, man, I can only thank you for your presence and your guidance. So thank you so much for everything. So, our dear YouTube Sangha, if you got anything out of this, please leave a like, comment, subscribe if you want more of this content. And I've been Dharma Peace, and here's Dharma Sky. Okay, guys. Until next time, if you made it this far, sadhu 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 to you.